It is time for Tech Thursday, and today I'm joined by a very interesting guest. And yes, we are going to talk about this whole WhatsApp situation that everybody is still talking about, even though we've had people like Emma Sadler going out of her way to put the right information out there, but still a lot of misinformation and fake news going around about this WhatsApp thing. People 100% convinced that Mark Zuckerberg and his team are reading every single message that you're sending and even enjoying your pictures. Today, to help us clarify the situation and give us a bit more insight, with regards to the technology and especially in the industry, is somebody with a lot of experience in technology, especially financial technology. And he joins us today. He's also been a YouTuber and he's picking it up again soon. Kane, hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Ian. Thanks for the fantastic introduction. I feel like I'm a superstar.
I'm out of breath. That was quite a long one.
Well, I'm glad. That's very cool. And there's a lot of fire in the air at the moment about WhatsApp and the whole everyone flogging off of WhatsApp to different platforms and not knowing which one to trust, and WhatsApp's whole policy acceptance pop up, and there's a storm going on for sure.
So, Kane, usually we see these pop-ups and we don't respond to them. We kind of say yes, accept or whatever, but we don't read them. Because who's got time to go through all that stuff? So we just kind of, say, okay, it should be fine. But you never know what's in it. How do you feel about this whole situation? And are you still, well, obviously you are, because that's how we're talking now, but are you still using WhatsApp? How do you feel?
Sure. So, I was lucky enough to pick up wind of this change coming into place before I even saw the WhatsApp pop up, which asks you to accept the new terms and conditions and all of that. And I was actually kind of ready for it. And I even saw it once or twice and kind of moved it off my screen because, there was word that WhatsApp wouldn't allow you to utilize the software unless you accepted the policy. But, I have to test if that's true. And it wasn't true at that particular time. But what actually happened was, I went into a chat just randomly as I wanted to talk to someone, and there was a pop-up, and I just empty-mindedly just accepted it. And it turns out you can't unaccept it. So once you've accepted it, if anyone's wondering, you can't unaccept that. And so that's what happened to me. And now I'm kind of sitting in the situation like, I don't actually know what could happen. I've accepted the policy, and that's obviously what got me doing a lot more research and figuring stuff out.
Now, right now, the trend we're seeing is people all over the country are flocking to Telegram. And then once they got to Telegram, they also heard that that's not safe, something to do with child pornography or something. And now they're all flocking to Signal, which is actually endorsed by Elon Musk, the man himself. He's actually, I don't know if you saw that, but he's actually thinking of pushing some money into Signal, according to reports.
Interesting. I noticed that he dropped a tweet a few days ago, and that's what got a lot of people moving off to Signal. Was he just said use Signal? It was a very bland tweet, but he's also showing some sentiment towards the privacy policy update.
Well, Telegram founder Pavel Durov, it's Russian, it sounds Russian. He stated that the messaging app has seen a massive spike in new users since the beginning of this month. And even WhatsApp admitted, according to reports, of course, that activity on their network has been decreasing. So, obviously something is happening. People are definitely moving over to all the other platforms. So, all in all, is it a storm in a teacup? Or do we have to kind of worry about it?
So WhatsApp did release a statement on the whole fiasco, and we can go into that in a moment. But I think it's also important to try and break down what is causing the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in WhatsApp services. And it really has to do with WhatsApp a while ago was actually purchased by Facebook, and now Facebook actually owns WhatsApp. And the first whiff of that integration being a reality was you eventually booted up your WhatsApp, and there was a powered by Facebook little icon there. And even if you go into WhatsApp now, you'll see that icon. So what's actually happening now is Facebook is making the move to integrate data sharing between WhatsApp and Facebook. Facebook wants to be able to do one thing extremely well in order to make money, and that's be able to put an advertiser's media in front of the right person who's interested in their product. And the more data that they have, the greater they can do that. The more accurate they can be in doing so. And obviously, from an advertiser's perspective, he sees success in his advertising efforts. So Facebook obviously endeavors to capture as much information as possible, keep it as private as possible, and I'm going to put that in inverted commas because we just don't really know. But I think what's happening now is people are actually, in a way, waking up to the level of data exposure that there truly is on the internet, and you don't really see it, because even now with normal social media like Twitter and Facebook, not necessarily instant messages, we're already giving a lot of data to these platforms in order to help them advertise and facilitate advertising. And it's something that we do in almost subliminally, and we don't really mind the effects or the results of it. And we see ads, and we might even buy from the ads that we see. But now that we see, Facebook might be able to see our personal messages, might be able to track something as significant as our location, that's where we get nervous. And location is actually a very, very, very valuable piece of data, whether it's connected to you as an individual or whether it's connected to someone anonymously. I worked with a company a few years ago, and their name was Fiscal. And basically what they did is they allowed users to provide foot traffic data or just location data for free, and in return they earn some bucks. And that data is very useful to someone who potentially might start a business. If I'm going to open up a Starbucks, I would want to see how many people are walking down the street in different streets to help me make my decision as to where to put my Starbucks. And this kind of information is in demand. Everyone everywhere wants to get this kind of info, whether it's anonymous or private or stolen. They want this info because it's valuable, because they can earn money from it. And the more they know about you, the better they can give you ads. Now, Facebook is obviously something that is much more focused on also keeping the user happy. So WhatsApp did release a status update. They released basically a statement to clarify on what's happening. And they said, look, when we don't have access to your location, we can't see the messages that you send. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of true, because WhatsApp and Telegram and Signal use end-to-end encryption. So in a lot of ways, the data that's being sent from one person to another person can only be seen by those two people that are sending it between each other. There's a little bit of whispers in the air that WhatsApp's backups don't encrypt that chat data as well, and it is vulnerable there. And maybe at that stage, Facebook can analyze it and things like that. But their priority isn't to snoop on people as much as their priority right now would be to evaluate you as a person as much as possible, to give you relevant ads and things like that on your Facebook profile.
Because apparently when Facebook want to kind of look at your messages, if they would look at your messages, if that was the case, they wouldn't be able to read it, because apparently it's all scrambled. Is that correct? With the end-to-end encryption. So they're just seeing a lot of numbers and little digits that they can't make out.
Exactly. To make it really simple, what's actually happening is, if you and I are talking, your phone creates a special number that my phone also shares. And when you put the message through a special algorithm with those shared numbers, it basically reveals a message that you can read. So only the people that have that shared number can read that message. And if I have the message without the shared number, I just have a bunch of letters and numbers and symbols. I don't have the ability to translate that or decode that into something readable like you do automatically when you receive or send a message.
I'm just wondering why people are so threatened by this whole privacy thing. I mean, what are you sending to other people that other people can't see? That's my question. If somebody had to hack my thing, I wouldn't go to jail per se. But what are people sending?
I think that's a very good point, and people don't. I had to ask myself that question. I asked myself, is there something that I'm scared for people to see? And I don't think that's the case. I think it's more of a case that when you believe there's a sense of privacy, and that sense of privacy was mistaken, you feel vulnerable. So perhaps when the big storm came about, people felt like the privacy that they had, the surety they had in their own private conversations, they didn't know whether that was still there or to what extent it wasn't there, to what extent can be seen from what they thought was private. And that is, I think that's a big scare on a lot of levels for businesses that are running their business on a chat system. Their priority would be to protect that conversation as much as possible, whether it's confidential information, which is disclosed under a non-disclosure agreement, or whether it's planning for a new product in 5 or 10 months from now. They want that assurity of privacy. And if that's not there, or if that's even questioned, you're going to go to something where you feel much more assured. And I think that's where we see the flocking off to Telegram and to Signal. But in other cases, I think some people are up to some naughty stuff, and they definitely want to leave.
Yeah, but I mean, what happens to your nudes when you send nude pictures on WhatsApp? Is that also scrambled? I'm not asking for me.
Well, this is a very good question. It is a very good question, and I think in retrospect, it is secure to a point, because also what we saw with like Oscar Pistorius, when they went and they disclosed all of the WhatsApp conversations. I don't know if that was on with permission, or whether that was just data that was retrieved on behalf of a government.
Exactly.
A government a request. And that's where the difference really comes in when you're looking at WhatsApp versus Telegram, because 6 months ago, WhatsApp was something that you would say, is less secure than Telegram, in so much that a government can subpoena the conversation that you've been having from WhatsApp, and they have to comply in order to actually be allowed to promote their application in that particular country. Then Telegram, on the other hand, isn't like that at all, because even more than WhatsApp, Telegram can't retrieve your messages at all. If you go to Telegram, you say, look, we need to see the conversation between person A and person B, they're going to say, I don't know how to help you. And that was a lot of the reason Russia didn't allow Telegram in the country. But now what we see with Telegram is Telegram wants to be in more countries. It wants global user bases. So they're kind of changing their terms and changing their technologies and changing their policies so that they can accommodate each different country. And in doing so, a lot of the stuff that they had that WhatsApp didn't, they're kind of more on level ground now. So now Signal is even looking more attractive, because they like what Telegram was to WhatsApp before Telegram started becoming regulated. And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's the fight for privacy.
I see, Kane, that new installations of WhatsApp fell 11% in the first 7 days of 2021 compared to the prior week. But that still amounted to an estimated 10.5 million downloads globally, Sensor Tower said. And then more than 100,000 users installed Signal across the app stores of Apple and Google in the last 2 days, while Telegram picked up nearly 2.2 million downloads. That's also according to the data analytics firm Sensor Tower. So there's definitely something happening right now. Somebody said, if you're concerned about this, then you have to delete everything, because you are not 100% private on the internet. If you're on the internet, they're looking at what you're doing. They're looking at your trends, your habits. They're looking at all these things to show you the right ads. So would you say, if you're concerned about the WhatsApp thing, just as well delete everything?
Well, if you want to be completely, if you fear that using WhatsApp is going to give the people in the air a great idea of who you are, what you do, where you go, what you watch, all that sort of stuff, you are going to have to go a lot further than just removing WhatsApp. Although WhatsApp will enclose a large portion of your private life, there is a larger portion of that life that is exposed to social media platforms that is done autonomously. It's automatic. It's not an individual that's specifically looking at you, but it's all done automatically. And there's a large amount of data sharing that happens, and there's nothing really we can do about it, except that we can get ad blockers. We can use browsers like Brave in order to avoid any kind of tracking. We can use, we can use tools and softwares to keep us as anonymous as possible, like VPNs and that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, when we're moving into this digital era, we as the people are going to have to start at some point saying, look, this is where we draw the line as to what we're comfortable with. And at the moment, it's in the other hand where the companies are kind of drawing that line. And I think that's the shift we're going to see in 2021. We're going to see people caring more about their privacy and forcing businesses to adjust how they're collecting our data, because at the end of the day, we can see that when a person feels like there's no surety in what he believes is secure for him, like WhatsApp was, they're going to go to the next available option. And that's the scariest thing for a big company, right? They don't want to lose market share to competitors. They don't want to see their user base disappear overnight. So when the public speaks, there's no choice but to listen.
Somebody also in September last year noticed that, the person was saying, is it just a coincidence? But I've noticed that wherever my eyes drift to will dictate what posts will show up on the scroll when I explore my Instagram feed. So it would appear that Instagram was watching their eye movements to see what they're looking at on the screen in order to adjust the app's layout accordingly.
A friend of mine and I, we were once having a joke where we were saying random things out loud. We would just say, phone cover, phone cover, phone cover, phone cover a couple of times and scroll down our Instagram feed. And there's an ad for a phone cover.
You see?
But I'm not too sure about the camera and it being able to monitor your eyes. I wouldn't pass it past them. I don't know if they publicly said that was happening. I don't know how much uproar there would be, probably quite a lot. But there are other ways to track eye movement. If you think about the things you do when you're scrolling down your social media feed, the pauses, when you lift your finger to see something, when you zoom in on something, these are all giving recordable indications to the platform that you're interested in that type of content. And trust me, they're tracking it 100% definitely. They know every little movement that you make. And here's the interesting thing that you might not know. You can go and download the data that Facebook has of you right off of Facebook.
My
you do the
gosh.
same for WhatsApp as well.
Like a real profile.
Data is downloadable.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can look at it for yourself and you can say, what do they have on me? And you'll see they have location data, they have pictures, they have posts, they have stuff that you liked, they have things that you zoomed in on. I mean, all sorts of different metrics that they look at.
I can understand how people can be freaked out, because it is kind of intrusive, especially if the app is tracking your eye movements in order to make adjustments on its layout and see what you're looking at on the screen. I think that's just a bit freaky, eh?
It is very freaky. And this is the thing. If they can be assured that you stopped for 5 to 15 seconds and stared at a video playing back from an advertiser, they will charge that advertiser for the amount of time you stared at it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're seeing the world of advertising going right now. It's extremely invasive on the user. But for the advertiser, it's like a dream come true almost. So if you own a business, you're going to love advertising. But
Yeah.
if you're just a user, you're going to hate the tracking.
Yeah.
It's hard to make both parties happy.
You're right. But I mean, the advertisers are obviously happy, and also Instagram or the whatever social network, because they can go back after a month and say, this is how many eyes were looking at your ad, and this is how long they were looking at it for, and this is how long they were scrolling back and forth, that kind of stuff. Give them a complete breakdown of the user patterns.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, that information is actually so valuable. And here's an example of a company that has that sort of information, but doesn't make it available to the people that would really care about it the most. In some ways, Instagram does make the data available to the advertisers for them to see, how many people are looking at these kind of terms, what's kind of trending, how can I advertise to people at this age group, and all sorts of stuff. They're giving you as much data as you can get. But here's the interesting thing. Something like Netflix, Netflix doesn't do that for people that sell their movies or their series or their TV shows to Netflix. Netflix doesn't allow any kind of analytical data to go back to the industries that made the movie that bought it from them. So if you can imagine a new TV show comes out in season 1 and they sell it to Netflix, and it is the most popular thing on Netflix. Everybody's watching it. It has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of watch time.
Like Bridgerton.
People watch it twice. Yeah. They don't have to go and tell the developers of that TV show that particular show is trending like crazy. So they can even go there and say, look, listen, I mean, we're down in terms of view time.
Yeah.
We're going to buy the next season, but we're going to buy it at half the price. And the production company, you can't say anything. You don't see that data. So in a lot of ways, at least Facebook and WhatsApp allow you to download and see what data they have on you. I mean, that's a benefit, because in a lot of ways, that information can definitely be used in a negative light as well.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest fear for me is, how do you hide something really obvious from someone? You say, look, I have data on you, but this is the data I have. Meanwhile, you have like so much more, but you just kind of put a little carrot there to keep them distracted and keep them busy. You just don't know. And that's the biggest fear at the moment, and that's why we saw the big Cambridge Analytica debacle. That's where we saw Mark Zuckerberg going and testifying before court, and all these kind of things are happening because that's the thing. We're in unknown, uncharted territory here, where the digital age has given us uncanny ability to track deep into people's lives, and it can go really far when you super boost it with AI. Because what AI can do is it can do the same thing that humans can do. Humans look at a bunch of data, they draw conclusions. Based on those conclusions, they look back at the data, and AI can do that extremely fast. And the more data it has, the better it can work. And for some advertising companies like Facebook and Google Ads and things like that, their algorithm is so adept and so accurate that it can pick up on the changes in behavior of a woman that has become pregnant before she even knows it, because your behavior changes, and it can pick up on that behavioral shift.
That is
before you even pick up on it.
Very creepy. They know before the husband. Yeah. That's crazy.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it happens.
It happens,
and that's the power of AI. It's the technology that enables it. And our whole philosophy as the human species is, let's advance our technology as fast as possible. And these are some of those verticals that are getting advanced. And it's kind of something to look out for. It's a good thing we're waking up.
Yeah. Okay, and just lastly, I want to ask you, when you watch Netflix and it shows you a percentage of a show, like next to it, it will say it's a 98% match for you. How does it know what you like? Is it also based on what you're watching or what you're rating thumbs up? The kind of a rating system? Or how do they know that you will like it or you have a 98% match to that specific TV show?
So it would be very difficult to know exactly how to do it, but how they particularly do it, because they wouldn't just nitty-gritty give that away. But what we can assume is it's kind of simple, but it's also really clever. If you watch a TV show and it sees, okay, you watch this TV show and 100 other people watch this TV show. It can also see 100 of those people also watched this TV show, so that has a 100% match. Whereas 80 people that watched that TV show also watched this TV show C, and that has a 72% match, and so on and so forth, until you get these 50% matches and 60% matches. It's probably telling you how many people that watched a video you watched also watched the video that it's suggesting to you.
So, Kane, I think in conclusion, it is safe to say, after our discussion right now, that if your phone is connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot or 3G or 4G or whatever G, you are being tracked in some way, and there's nothing you can do about it except switch your phone off.
Exactly. Don't use the phone.
So you can delete WhatsApp all you like. You can install it and delete it again, and install it and delete it again. There is something on your phone, some app, some website or whatever, tracking your usage and your habits and all that kind of stuff.
The reality is, if you want to delete WhatsApp and you don't want to use WhatsApp anymore, delete Facebook and Instagram, because they're all under the same umbrella.
That's it.
And a lot of people aren't going to be able to do that. But the people that do are going to send a pretty strong message to the people that are creating these data tracking tools and things like that.
Tell me quickly, lastly, are you deleting WhatsApp, or are you staying, or are you using Telegram, or are you using Signal? Are you using all three? What are you going to do personally?
I think a lot of people will feel the same way as me. If I were to delete WhatsApp, it would be pretty difficult to maintain some of the longer distance relationships that I have with more business kind of enterprises and things like that. Professional relationships, especially for me. I'm a kind of a little bit of a younger kind of guy, and it took my parents about 10 years just to download WhatsApp. And if one of my clients who's between the ages of 40 and 70 is going to try and change his instant messaging platform, it's going to be difficult for them to do it. So, I might just stay on WhatsApp so that I can continue the discussions with people that I need to continue discussions with. The only way that Telegram and Signal work is if other people all join it. And I've been someone that's been using Telegram, Signal, and WhatsApp for the past year. And I haven't been able to specifically only use one yet.
The one you use the most is WhatsApp, right?
Without a doubt.
It's more accessible, and it's just kind of the default. It's kind of the go-to app for communication. I mean, the two of us are chatting via WhatsApp call right now. And we'd love to have you in the studio, but, with all the virus stuff, it's probably safer. But I'm seeing here on the call, I'm seeing the picture of you, Kane, and then I'm seeing your name, and then right above it, it says end-to-end encrypted. So that means they can't hear what we're saying right now. It's just, they're just hearing kind of alien talk.
They wouldn't even hear anything. They would just see it would be like a very, very long text document filled with illegible symbols.
So they can't hear us. Okay, I was a bit worried about that. I don't want strange things popping up tonight and saying, you are exposing us. No, I'm joking. No, I'm not that paranoid.
Like that, luckily.
Yeah, but I'm seeing a lot of memes, man. People are having a field day with these memes. So one of them is saying, let's just go back to Mixit. But I know that's funny. But in reality, you can't go back to Mixit, because Mixit kind of, when they sold the company and they closed it, they sold their service as well. So Mixit literally is non-existent.
Mixit is gone. Mixit was
gone.
And only the real day oneers will remember.
I miss it.
The days of Mixit would evolve into the WhatsApp and Telegram and Signal we see today.
Those were simpler times, and you were just waiting for that green icon next to the person, your favorite person's name, to light up so you could see that they are online. It was different. Or they would have, like, do you remember, I don't know if you used it, but do you remember the orange icon when somebody was busy or away? That was away when they weren't using it. And then that was the orange one, and then the red one was busy, so do not disturb, and then the very red one was offline. I miss those days, you know. They were kind of simpler.
You felt a bit lonely. When you were sad and you were lonely, you wanted a bit of attention. You put your status to sad. You put
Yes,
a sad face. And then all your friends
I remember it so well. Do you remember on Mixit when they say DC?
Yeah, no, all the time.
Because they was DCing all the time. Because their service couldn't handle it. And then there was Joe Banker. Do you remember Joe Banker? And then when you're really lonely, you start a conversation with Joe Banker or with Info.
I remember that very well.
Oh, man.
It's changed so far.
Jeez, those were just incredible times. Because that was such an upgrade from SMSs, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and so much cheaper at R1 an SMS on them.
Yes, exactly. Listen, Kane, that was really, really fun. Hopefully they're not listening to us here on this call, End-to-End Encrypted. We'll chat again soon, and it was good to have you on the show today on Tech Thursday. We'll do it again soon, and then we'll see what we'll be talking about. But there's so much to talk about, especially in these times we're living in.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for having me, and I hope you have a great afternoon, Jan.
You too.
And everyone listening, don't forget.
Yeah, you too, and thanks for your time.
All right, thanks so much, man.
Cheers.